That night, I felt my end had come. I was lying on a park bench, about to freeze to death. I couldn't feel the cold anymore, and the pain was gone. My body was numb. I had accepted that this was the end. Then, I saw a man with a flashlight running through the park like crazy, shouting my name. It felt like a dream. Who would be looking for me, and why? I slowly sat up on the wet bench and raised my hand to signal him. I didn't have the strength to shout. The man rushed toward me and pulled a photograph from his pocket. He shone his flashlight on it, bringing it close to my face to compare. Suddenly, his eyes widened. He grabbed my shoulders and shook me hard. "I found you! Don't you dare die on me!" he shouted. I tried to push him away. I flinched in fear and said, "Leave me alone, man! Who are you anyway?" He pulled some papers from his bag. "You can't die. Not now. Your case is closed. You're innocent. The state admitted their mistake. They owe you $2 million. $2 million for a man dying on a bench. Who was I? What case? What mistake cost me everything? I'm here today to tell you exactly what happened."
My name is Thomas Warren. I'm 68 years old. I've been homeless for 10 years. But that's not how my life started. 10 years ago, I was a high school teacher. I had a wife, a home, a normal life. Then everything changed. I was arrested for a crime I didn't commit, armed robbery, a convenience store on the east side of town. The clerk identified me. Security footage was grainy, but the prosecutor said it was me. My lawyer was overworked and underpaid. The trial lasted 3 days. The jury took 2 hours to convict me. I got 15 years. My wife divorced me within 6 months, said she couldn't handle the shame. My daughter stopped visiting after a year, said it hurt too much to see me behind bars. I spent 8 years in prison, 8 years knowing I was innocent, 8 years watching real criminals laugh about their crimes while I rotted for something I didn't do. When I got out, I had nothing. My wife had sold our house. My daughter had moved to another state. My teaching license was revoked. No school would hire a convicted felon. I tried to find work, dishwashing, janitorial, anything. But every application asked about criminal history. Every background check came back with armed robbery. Doors closed in my face over and over. I ended up on the streets. At first, I stayed in shelters. Then, even the shelters became too much. Too many rules, too many people. I preferred the quiet of parks and alleys. For 10 years, I survived. Scraps of food, donated clothes, the kindness of strangers. I became invisible. Just another homeless man that people stepped over. I stopped believing in justice, stopped believing the system would ever admit its mistake, stopped believing I mattered. That night in the park, I had given up completely. The temperature was below freezing. I had no warm clothes, no shelter. My body was shutting down, and I welcomed it. Death seemed kinder than another day of this life. Then that man appeared, running, shouting, desperate. His name was Michael Chen. He was a lawyer, not the public defender who barely fought for me at trial. A real lawyer, one who believed in justice. He pulled me off that bench and wrapped his coat around me. He called an ambulance on his cell phone. He kept talking, kept me conscious. "Thomas, listen to me. You need to stay awake. Help is coming. You're going to be okay." "Why do you care?" I whispered through frozen lips. "Because I've been searching for you for 6 months. Because your case has haunted me since I took it on. Because you deserve to know the truth." The ambulance arrived. Paramedics loaded me onto a stretcher. Michael rode with me to the hospital. In the emergency room, doctors worked to warm my body. Hypothermia, frostbite on my fingers and toes. They said another hour and I would have died. Michael never left. He sat in the waiting room until the doctor said I was stable. Then he came to my bedside with his briefcase. "Thomas, I need to tell you everything. But first, how much do you remember about your trial?" "All of it. Every detail, every lie." He nodded. "Good, because we just proved they were lies." He opened his briefcase and pulled out documents. 6 months ago, a law student doing research found inconsistencies in your case. The security footage timestamp didn't match the crime report. The clerk's identification was based on a photo lineup that violated protocol. Your alibi witnesses were never called. I told my lawyer about my alibi. I was at a teacher's conference 60 miles away. "I know. We found the conference records, attendance sheets with your signature, photographs with you in the background, time-stamped receipts from that day. You couldn't have committed that robbery. You were provably somewhere else." Tears filled my eyes. "Then why did I go to prison?" "Because your lawyer never investigated. Because the prosecutor was running for re-election and needed convictions. Because the system failed you in every possible way." He handed me more papers. "We filed for post-conviction relief. We presented all the new evidence. The judge reviewed everything. Last week she vacated your conviction. The state formally admitted error. You're innocent, Thomas. Officially, legally innocent." I couldn't speak. 10 years of knowing I was innocent. 8 years in prison, 2 years homeless. And now, finally, someone believed me. "There's more," Michael said gently. "We filed a wrongful conviction lawsuit against the state. They settled. $2 million in compensation for the years they stole from you." $2 million. The number meant nothing. No amount of money could give me back my wife, my daughter, my career, my dignity. But it meant I didn't have to die on a park bench. "Why did you search for me?" I asked. "Because when we won the case, we couldn't find you. Your last known address was a homeless shelter, but you'd left months ago. I've been checking parks, shelters, soup kitchens, everywhere. Tonight I finally found someone who recognized your photo. He said you usually slept in Jefferson Park. I got there as fast as I could. I looked at this stranger who saved my life. Thank you." "Don't thank me. This is what justice should be. I'm just sorry it took so long." But what I didn't know was that this money would give me a chance to help others the system forgot, just like they forgot me. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital, recovering from hypothermia, treating my frostbite. Michael visited every day, bringing clothes, food, paperwork. The settlement money was placed in a trust account. Michael helped me set up a bank account, get identification, navigate systems I hadn't dealt with in years. "What do you want to do now?" he asked on my last day in the hospital. I thought about it. I could buy a house, live comfortably, disappear into an easy retirement. But that felt wrong. Empty. I want to help people like me. People the system destroyed. Michael smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." We started planning. Michael knew the legal side. I knew what people needed. Together, we created something new. We called it the Warren Justice Project, a non-profit law firm dedicated to wrongful conviction cases and helping homeless people navigate the legal system. We rented office space in a rough part of town, somewhere accessible to the people who needed us most. We hired 3 lawyers, 2 paralegals, and a social worker. I used half my settlement money to fund the organization. The other half went to building a shelter. Not a typical shelter with cots and strict rules. A place where people could stay long-term, get counseling, job training, legal help. Michael worked pro bono as our lead attorney. He took on cases other lawyers ignored. Wrongful convictions, housing disputes, disability claims, criminal records that needed expunging. I worked as a case manager. I met with clients, heard their stories, connected them with resources. I understood their pain in ways other social workers couldn't. I'd lived it. The first year was hard. We helped 32 people, cleared 3 wrongful convictions, housed 47 homeless individuals, small numbers, but each one mattered. A woman named Rosa came to us. She'd been evicted illegally but couldn't afford a lawyer. We fought her case. She got her apartment back and damages from the landlord. A man named James spent 12 years in prison for a murder he didn't commit. New DNA evidence proved his innocence. We worked with him for 18 months. The conviction was overturned. James walked free. A teenager named Marcus was arrested for shoplifting food because his family was starving. Instead of prosecution, we connected him with food assistance, got his record sealed, helped his mother find work. Stories like theirs kept me going. I moved into a small apartment near the office. Nothing fancy. I didn't need much. After years of sleeping on benches, 4 walls and a roof felt like luxury. Sometimes former students recognized me. "Mr. Warren, is that you? We thought you were in prison." I told them the truth. I was, for a crime I didn't commit. Now I'm helping others fight the same injustice. Some apologized. Some asked how they could help. A few donated money to the project. My daughter called one day. Michael had tracked her down and told her everything. She was crying. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. I should have visited." "You were young. You didn't understand. I abandoned you. And now you know the truth. That's enough." We started slowly rebuilding our relationship. Phone calls once a week, then visits. She met Michael, saw the work we were doing. She started volunteering at the shelter on weekends.
My ex-wife never called. I didn't expect her to. Some bridges burned too thoroughly to rebuild.
2 years after Michael found me in that park, the Warren Justice Project had helped 300 people. We'd overturned 9 wrongful convictions. Our shelter housed 20 people at a time, with an average stay of 6 months while they got back on their feet. The work was exhausting but meaningful. Every person we helped reminded me why I survived that frozen night. One afternoon, an older woman came into our office. She looked nervous, clutching a worn manila folder. "Can I help you?" I asked. "I heard you help people who were wrongly convicted. My son, he's been in prison for 20 years. I know he didn't do it, but no one will listen to me." I sat her down. "Tell me everything." Her son, David, was convicted of arson that killed 2 people. He was 17 at the time. The evidence was circumstantial. A witness claimed to see him near the building before the fire. But that witness had a history of lying to police for reward money. "We couldn't afford a good lawyer," she said. "David's been writing letters for years saying he's innocent, but no one believes him." I took her folder, read through the trial transcripts, the evidence, the witness statements. The case smelled wrong. Too convenient, too neat. "I'll talk to Michael. We'll look into this." Her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you. You're the first person in 20 years to take me seriously." Those experiencing such moments understand that hope can survive decades of disappointment, waiting for one person to listen. Michael reviewed David's case. Within a week, he found problems. The witness had changed his story 3 times. The fire investigation was done by an inspector who was later discredited for false reports. David's alibi witnesses were never interviewed. We took the case. It took 18 months of investigation, new expert testimony, tracking down witnesses the original lawyer never called. But we proved it. David was innocent. The judge ordered a new trial. The prosecutor, looking at our evidence, dropped all charges. David walked out of prison after 20 years for a crime he didn't commit. His mother collapsed in the courtroom, sobbing. David held her, crying too, 20 years stolen. But finally, justice. David came to work for us 6 months later. He wanted to help others like him. He understood the pain, the rage, the years of being invisible to a system that didn't care. The Warren Justice Project grew. We opened a second location, hired more lawyers, more social workers, created programs for job training, education, mental health support. Donations came in, people who read about our work, who understood the importance of fighting for the forgotten. We became sustainable, self-funding beyond my initial investment. I stood in our main office one day, watching lawyers interview clients, social workers make calls, formerly homeless people now working as staff members. This place hummed with purpose. Michael walked over. "You built something remarkable here, Thomas. We built it together. You could have taken that money and lived comfortably. Instead, you created this. I looked around. I spent 10 years believing I didn't matter, that the system would never care about people like me. If I'd kept that money for myself, I would have proven myself right. This way, I proved the system wrong. We all matter. Everyone deserves justice. Even when justice comes late? Especially then. Late justice is better than no justice at all. Little did I know that our work would catch national attention and inspire similar projects across the country. A journalist wrote an article about the Warren Justice Project. It went viral. Suddenly we had interview requests, speaking invitations, offers of partnerships. I spoke at law schools about wrongful convictions. I testified before state legislatures about criminal justice reform. I shared my story on podcasts, news programs, anywhere people would listen. Each time I told my story, I emphasized the same point. I wasn't special. I wasn't the only innocent person in prison. The system fails people every single day. We need to do better. Other cities started contacting us. Could we help them create similar programs? Could we share our model, our resources, our experience? We created a training program, taught lawyers how to investigate wrongful convictions, showed social workers how to help homeless clients navigate legal systems, built a network of justice projects across 12 states. 5 years after Michael found me dying on that bench, the Warren Justice Project had helped over 1,000 people. We'd overturned 32 wrongful convictions. Our shelters had housed and rehabilitated 300 individuals who were now living independent, stable lives. I stood in Jefferson Park one winter evening, the same park where I almost died. I walked to the same bench and sat down. The cold bit at my face, but I was dressed warmly now. Good coat, gloves, a home to return to. How different from that night 5 years ago. A young homeless man approached. "Excuse me, sir. Do you have any spare change?" I looked at him. Maybe 25, dirty clothes, desperate eyes. I saw myself. "No, but I have something better. Come with me." I walked him to our shelter 6 blocks away, got him a warm meal, a bed, an intake appointment for the next day, listened to his story, gave him hope that things could change, because they could. I was proof. This story reminds us that justice delayed is painful, but justice achieved can transform not just one life, but hundreds. That the people society forgets are the ones who understand best how to help others survive being forgotten. I'm 68 years old. I spent 8 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. I spent 2 years homeless, abandoned by a system that destroyed me. I nearly froze to death believing no one cared if I lived or died. But I survived, and I turned my pain into purpose, my anger into action, my suffering into a mission to help others. The Warren Justice Project exists because I refused to let injustice have the final word. Because Michael Chen refused to stop searching. Because people deserve second chances even when the system gave them no first chance. I'm not rich anymore. Most of that $2 million went to building something bigger than myself. But I'm wealthier than I ever was as a teacher. Because every person we help, every wrongful conviction we overturn, every homeless person who finds stability, that's my dividend. That frozen night on the bench was supposed to be my end. Instead, it was my beginning. What lesson did you gain from this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. 6 years into running the Warren Justice Project, everything seemed perfect. We had steady funding, skilled staff, growing impact. Then the phone call came. Michael's voice was tense. "Thomas, we have a problem. The city is auditing our nonprofit status. Someone filed a complaint." "What kind of complaint?" "Anonymous. Claims we're running a political operation disguised as a charity. If they revoke our nonprofit status, we lose our tax exemption. Donors will disappear. We'll have to shut down." I felt my stomach drop. Who would do this? "I have a theory. Remember the prosecutor from your case, Gerald Hoffman?" I remembered. The man who sent me to prison, knowing the evidence, was weak. The man who built his political career on convictions, innocent or not. What about him? He's running for state attorney general. His campaign message is law and order, tough on crime. Our work makes him look bad. Every wrongful conviction we expose shows the system he defended was broken. So he's trying to destroy us. Can't prove it yet, but the timing is suspicious. His campaign started 2 months ago. This complaint was filed 6 weeks ago. I sat down heavily. After everything we'd built, everything we'd accomplished, one vindictive man could tear it all apart. What do? We cooperate with the audit, show them everything. Our books are clean. Our mission is legitimate. We'll survive this. But what we didn't know was that this attack would reveal just how many people believed in what we were doing. The audit took 3 weeks. Investigators combed through every expense, every case, every donor. They interviewed staff, clients, volunteers. They questioned our methods, our motives, our impact. The media picked up the story. Prosecutor running for attorney general targets, wrongful conviction project. The headlines wrote themselves. Hoffman gave interviews denying involvement. I support justice, but these organizations often have hidden agendas. The audit is proper due diligence. Our donors got nervous. 2 major foundations suspended their grants pending the audit results. Monthly donations dropped by 40%. We had to freeze hiring and cut some programs. Staff morale plummeted. People who dedicated themselves to this work now feared losing their jobs. I called an all-hands meeting. 32 employees gathered in our main conference room, faces worried, uncertain. I know you're scared, I started. I'm scared too. But we've done nothing wrong. Our work is righteous. Every person we've helped, every conviction we've overturned, that's real. No audit can take that away. What if they shut us down? Someone asked. Then we'll rebuild. I've lost everything before. I survived. We'll survive this too. Maria, one of our social workers, stood up. I was homeless 3 years ago. This organization gave me a job, gave me purpose. I won't let them destroy it without a fight. Others nodded. David, the man we'd freed after 20 years, spoke next. They tried to bury me once. Didn't work. They won't bury this place either.
The room filled with determination. These weren't just employees, they were believers.
Michael stood. The audit will clear us, I'm certain, but we need to prepare for what comes after. Hoffman won't stop with one attack. If he becomes attorney general, he'll have real power to hurt us. Then we make sure he doesn't become attorney general, I said. The staff looked at me, surprised. We can't endorse candidates as a non-profit, Michael warned. No, but we can tell the truth. We can share the stories of the people we've helped. We can show voters what real justice looks like versus Hoffman's version. Over the next month, we launched a public awareness campaign, not political, just factual. We created a website featuring every case we'd worked on, names, faces, stories of wrongful convictions. We showed the human cost of a broken system. Former clients gave interviews. Rosa talked about her illegal eviction. James described 20 years of imprisonment for a murder he didn't commit. Marcus explained how a shoplifting charge nearly destroyed his future. The media coverage shifted. Instead of focusing on the audit, reporters started investigating our cases. They interviewed people we'd helped. They fact-checked our success rate. One journalist dug into Hoffman's record, found 12 cases where he'd prosecuted despite weak evidence. 3 had been overturned since. The others remained in prison, likely innocent. Public opinion turned. People started asking questions. If the Warren Justice Project was doing such important work, why was it being attacked? Donations increased, not from big foundations, but from regular people. $10 here, $50 there. Thousands of small donations from people who believed in our mission. Maybe you face situations where community support becomes your greatest strength. That's what saved us. The audit concluded. The investigators found no wrongdoing. Our nonprofit status was affirmed. Every dollar accounted for, every case properly documented. We held a press conference. Michael read the findings. The Warren Justice Project operates with full integrity and transparency. This audit found zero evidence of political activity or financial misconduct. Reporters shouted questions. I stepped to the microphone. For 6 years, we've worked to fix a broken system. We've helped people the courts abandoned. We've exposed injustices that powerful people wanted buried. This audit was an attempt to silence that work. It failed. Do you believe Gerald Hoffman was behind the complaint? A reporter asked. I believe people who benefit from a broken system fear those who try to fix it. The coverage was massive. Within a week, Hoffman's poll numbers dropped. Questions about his prosecutorial record dominated his campaign. He tried to pivot, to distance himself from the audit. But the damage was done. Voters saw him as someone who attacked organizations helping the vulnerable. 3 months later, he lost the primary. His political career effectively ended. Our funding stabilized. The foundations reinstated their grants. New donors appeared. We hired back the staff we'd cut and expanded our programs. But the crisis taught us something important. We couldn't rely on the goodwill of the system. We needed to build power, build community, build something too strong to be easily attacked. We created an advocacy arm, separate from the nonprofit. It could engage in political activity, lobby for legislative change, hold prosecutors accountable. We trained former clients to become advocates, people like David and Maria and Marcus, who understood the system's failures firsthand. They testified at hearings, spoke at rallies, organized voter registration drives. We built coalitions with other justice organizations, shared resources, coordinated strategies, amplified each other's voices. The work evolved. We weren't just helping individuals anymore. We were changing systems. 7 years after Michael found me on that bench, I stood in the state capitol. The legislature was voting on a bill we'd spent 2 years pushing. The Wrongful Conviction Accountability Act. It required independent review of all convictions based solely on eyewitness testimony. It created compensation funds for exonerees. It mandated training for prosecutors on avoiding wrongful convictions. The gallery was packed with people we'd helped, families of the wrongly convicted, formerly homeless individuals now thriving, lawyers and social workers who joined our cause. The vote was called. The bill passed 62-38. The room erupted in applause. People hugged, cried, celebrated. This law would prevent others from suffering what I suffered, what hundreds of others suffered. I felt Michael's hand on my shoulder. You did it. We did it. All of us. That night, we threw a party at our main office. Current and former clients, staff, volunteers, supporters. The place was packed. My daughter brought her son, my grandson. He was 5 years old, shy, hiding behind his mother's legs. Grandpa, Mom says you help people. I knelt down to his level. I try. When people are treated unfairly, I help make it right. Like a superhero? I laughed. Not quite. More like a regular person who refuses to give up. He thought about that. Can I help when I'm bigger? I hope you will. Looking around that room, I saw the legacy we'd built, not just in laws or statistics, but in lives transformed, in people who'd lost everything and found purpose, in a community that refused to accept injustice. Rosa now ran her own tenant advocacy group. James worked as a counselor for recently released prisoners. Marcus was in college studying social work. Each person we helped went on to help others. The impact rippled outward, multiplying. That's what $2 million bought. Not comfort or luxury, but transformation. Not just for me, but for thousands. If you've ever wondered whether one person can make a difference, whether justice can win against a broken system, I'm living proof it can. But it requires sacrifice. It requires courage. It requires believing that people matter even when society treats them like they don't. 8 years after that frozen night, I returned to Jefferson Park. Same bench, same spot where I nearly died. Someone had installed a small plaque. It read, "On this bench, Thomas Warren was given a second chance. Now he gives second chances to others." The community. I didn't know who put it there, but it moved me deeply. I sat on that bench and thought about the journey, from teacher to prisoner to homeless man to advocate, from victim to victor. The system tried to destroy me. It failed. Instead, it created someone who understood its cruelty and dedicated his life to fighting it. Michael joined me. We sat in comfortable silence, two friends who'd changed each other's lives. "Any regrets?" he asked. "Only that it took so long. 8 years in prison, 2 years homeless, 10 years of my life stolen. But look what you built with the time you got back." That's the thing about injustice. You can't undo it. You can only decide what you do with what's left. And you chose to fight. What else could I do? Spend that money on myself and watch others suffer what I suffered? That would make me complicit. Michael smiled. Most people would have taken the money and disappeared. I'm not most people. Prison and homelessness taught me that comfort isn't the goal. Purpose is. We sat until sunset, watching the park fill with evening joggers and dog walkers. Normal people living normal lives, unaware of the battles fought to make their community safer, fairer, more just. This story reminds us that the worst moments of our lives can become the foundation for our greatest contributions. That justice isn't just about being vindicated, but about ensuring others aren't victimized. That $2 million in the bank means nothing compared to thousands of lives transformed. I'm 73 years old now. The Warren Justice Project continues without me running it day to day. Younger leaders have taken over, people with energy and vision and the same commitment to justice. I still volunteer. I still meet with clients, tell my story, advocate for change. But mostly, I watch what we built continue to grow. We've overturned 68 wrongful convictions, helped over 3,000 people navigate legal systems. Our model has been replicated in 23 cities across 8 states. More importantly, we've changed the conversation. Wrongful convictions aren't invisible anymore. The failures of the justice system aren't accepted as inevitable. My daughter runs one of our satellite offices. My grandson volunteers in our youth program. The work continues across generations. Sometimes I think about that night, lying on a frozen bench, ready to die. If Michael had been 5 minutes later, I would have. This whole story would have ended before it began. But he wasn't late. He found me. He saved me. And together we saved others. That's the lesson. One person caring enough to search. One person refusing to give up. One person believing that even homeless men freezing on park benches deserve justice. Michael retired last year. At his retirement party, he gave a speech. People ask me what I'm most proud of in my career. I tell them it's finding Thomas Warren, not because of the money or the headlines, because he showed me what justice should look like. Not lawyers in courtrooms, but people helping people. Not victories for clients, but transformations of lives. He looked at me. You taught me that the law isn't about statutes and precedents. It's about human beings who deserve dignity, second chances, and someone who refuses to forget them. The room stood and applauded. For Michael, for the work, for what we'd built together. I'm writing this from my small apartment, same one I moved into 8 years ago. I could afford bigger, fancier. But this is enough. On my desk is that photograph Michael carried the night he found me. Weathered, creased from being in his pocket during his search. He gave it to me years ago. Next to it is a photo of our staff, all 48 people who work daily to continue this mission. And next to that, a letter from a man we freed last month, 17 years wrongly imprisoned, now reunited with his family, starting over. He wrote, "You gave me back my life. How can I ever repay you?" I wrote back, "Help someone else. That's how we repay each other." Because that's the secret. Justice isn't transactional. You don't pay it back. You pay it forward. What lesson did you gain from this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.